Hello, I'm Josephine Sellers and I'd like to welcome you back to the Awakening TV channel, filming today in Body, Mind, Spirit in Dorchester, Dorset. And I've got Dean Carter with me, who works with the crystal singing bowls and Tibetan singing bowls. And I met Dean about 9 months ago when I was on a retreat, and Dean brought one of his beautiful divine sound baths to the conference. And I was knocked out by it. In fact, I had to go to my bedroom afterwards, fully clothed, and go to sleep for quite a few hours, and it was magical. So
it worked.
It does indeed. And we've been hearing the bowls today, and I'm already quite sleepy, so stay alert for the interview. So welcome, Dean. It's really nice to see you. First question I'm going to ask you is, what brought you to be working with these bowls?
Oh, Josephine, unfortunately, being ill, really, sort of set me on the path, which is the case, I think, for a lot of people who go into holistic healing, not interested in health until they lose it. So I was a chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, sufferer. And prior to that, I was a musician and was running around London and the rest of England, gigging and playing and recording my own music. And then after about 1997, I was no longer doing that. I just was feeling worse and worse, and the medical establishment had nothing useful to say about what was going on, until eventually I got to the point where I was sort of housebound and bedbound. And I thought, well, this isn't good. I've got to do something. And interestingly, about the only thing I could do, or found that I could do activity-wise, whether you're talking as minimal as stand up, sit down, or clean your teeth, that actually energized me and made me feel a little bit better, was to do this. I bought a Tibetan singing bowl a few years previously. I had no idea what to do with it, or even if I had the right stick, I had no idea. And I just sort of sat and went, I thought, that feels quite nice. I'll do that again. So that's without wanding it or doing anything clever or special, or just hitting it with a stick. It already brought a bit of relief, and I found I could actually do that 5-10 minutes, and it would energize me rather than deplete me of energy, which at that point any other activity would deplete me of energy or make me feel ill. So I suddenly thought, well, perhaps this is good. And I'd already before that encountered overtone singing, but you have to have quite a lot of energy to be able to do that, and I was spending half the time on the floor. But yes, eventually I sort of worked my way around, and eventually it became my kind of passion and study to find my way at least out of this conundrum, this situation, via sound, being a musician, and that was the thing that appealed to me. And then got to the point where I was thinking, well, I need to sort of share this with other people, and hopefully I can, and they'll have the benefit and the healing from it as well. Okay. Yeah,
I'd quite like to talk about that therapeutic part of it, because I mean, you only had to do that.
Yes,
it makes me breathe.
Yes,
and it's as though everything drops down into the body, so it pulls me back into my body, really. So it is hugely therapeutic. We know that.
Yes.
Give me some sort of background to why it should be so therapeutic for us.
Yes, it seems to be. It's a specific form of sound. You see, pure sound. When I did that, you could hear more than just one note, couldn't you? If you just even dong the bell, a low one and a high one. So it seems to be about pure sound, and a pure sound by definition is a sound that doesn't generate an overtone. So if you can hear an overtone on top, that overtone is itself a pure sound.
Yes.
And then I also discovered the crystal bowls, which we've filmed earlier.
Yeah.
I don't have one here. And their root note is as pure a sound as you can get on Earth acoustically, other than a tuning fork. And they also, as you know from the experience, and you can see on the clip, they've got an extremely long sustained tone. So if you were putting a crystal bowl through a waveform generator, it would just be a pure sine wave, which I hope I may have a copy of. I've done two of them there, because a pure sine wave two pure sine waves, and we have the symbol for the Aquarian age, interestingly, don't we?
Yeah, and that's
So-
that amazing web beneath it all that connects it to so
Yes.
many other things within the universe.
That's right.
And the science behind it is huge, written about in that book of yours.
Yes, I've
Title of?
the title of my book is The Cosmic Scale, and I'm currently fully writing it and expanding it to include all the aspects of the work we do, including our workshops at the Centre for Pure Sound. And the first part of it is already available up on our website, www.centreforpuresound.org, and we'll take you through sort of the mechanics of what pure sounds are. And they are kind of available in every note you sing or note you play, actually. You never actually sing or play a single note. You're always singing a whole scale like this. This is what happens is the string or your air column vibrates, and the one you can hear, la, he's only singing one note. He's on about la, is the loudest, but it is at the same time generating this whole series on top called the Harmonic series or the Overtone scale. So every time we sing, we're singing this whole series. Now, when we experience them as an overtone individually, as a pure tone individually, it seems to have a different effect than when we just sing or play instrument normally, however beautiful that song or that playing is. So you can actually make those audible. What was the note I did? I didn't do the same note.
And you overtone with the crystal bowls, don't you?
I can overtone with the crystal bowls, I can overtone with the Tibetan bowls, and I can overtone just on my own. So those are overtones, and they're all pure sounds, and they're all on top of the one generating note, the fundamental that you could hear. And so pure sound, however it's generated, and whether it's from your voice or whether it's from a Tibetan bowl or a crystal bowl, does just seem to have this different effect, even if the sound is quite loud.
It's almost as though the word pure is it. That's what it is. It's
Yes,
pure, it's
that's
clean,
right, yeah.
it's pure, and it's
Yes.
effective. It's not contaminated. That's
That's
how
right.
it comes across to me as.
So if anyone is working with Tibetans or crystals
Yeah.
or overtone singing in whatever style, including, our overtoning styles, essentially a Western style, and I believe it's deeply ancient. I think we're just regenerating and reminding ourselves of the sort of things that Pythagoras knew, for example, and he got it from the Egyptians, who got it from further back still. And so, you might think of overtone singing as being that deep Tibetan growl sound, which is indeed one form of it. And then there's the various types of Mongolian overtone singing. I'm not an expert on Mongolian, but it's a very complex science in its own right, the Mongolian overtone styles. I think there's something like 40 plus kind of traditions or something in Mongolian style.
It's very beautiful to hear, isn't it?
Yes,
it seems almost impossible.
That's right. Well, they if we put this around the other way, I could get, as you could probably hear, I was getting those first few overtones fairly clearly and loud. They sort of start at that one and do all the others that go on up, because this series goes up to infinity and beyond our hearing. And incidentally, also when you make a note, it goes down as well. So you get undertones. You can make those. I can't do undertone singing, but you can make those audible. For example, on many Tibetan bowls, many of the larger ones, the lower note you can hear is actually an audible undertone. So the sort of middle note is the generator, and you might have a higher note as well, but this one, for example, the lowest note that you'll be able to hear is an audible pure tone. It's an undertone.
It's the sound really, it hits your body, but you feel it through your body. I feel it through my body.
Yes.
So the connection to that and the body, I mean, to me, as a layman, I'd say it's as though when you do it, it resets resets me, it recalibrates me.
Recalibrates,
So,
yes.
so I've gone off and it pulls it back in. So the potential of that to heal ailments and any ailment physically or even mentally seems to be there in that sound to me.
One very common factor we find is extremely strong physical detoxifier, the pure sound. Every time we do it, we always emphasise to people they need to drink a lot of good quality water after the sessions, because the the toxins in your cells, they sort of just get, your whole cells just get shaken up and thrown about, and the toxins are then kind of cast out, and then you then need to drink the water to flush them out of your system. I could possibly demonstrate that a little bit, I hope, with this fountain bowl. So not all Tibetan bowls can actually do this.
Oh, with water.
But the fountain bowl sort of, I hope, demonstrates just how the sound can actually...
And the water's dancing up and down.
Just trying to make sure it doesn't hit the microphone there.
So it's exciting the water, isn't
Yes,
it?
and we
so
are,
it excites our cells.
we are about 80% water,
Yeah, so
aren't we,
you can
at
see...
our physical level.
Fascinating.
And then sonically, on an energetic level and mental level, I find the sound is the first thing that, you know, when you're trying to reach a meditative state, it's the stilling of the mind. And I have to say that was the sound that did it, you know. As you can probably hear from the example, it just seems to shut the chattering mind up. And as soon as you go into meditation, you're into the deeper brainwave states, which we associate with meditation, and we associate with channeling and healing and deep relaxation. And your left and your right brain automatically rebalance.
Yeah.
So that's why we call our sound baths Divine Union sound baths, including like on our CD version. Immediately, without really having to do an enormous technique or study for 20 years with a master, the sound is kind of doing it for you. And that's the right and left brain rebalance, that's the yin-yang rebalance, that's the eros gamos, the divine marriage, the divine union of all, which is the goal really of all spiritual
Absolutely brilliant. And if you
traditions.
were to listen to that, if you had a CD with that on, surely that in itself would be just massive therapy once a day.
Yes, that's right. That's our takeaway version. We've got CDs of our sound baths, and you can get them via our website if you don't actually come to a physical sound bath yourself. You can also program the tracks as well. So you know, we usually go to sleep with track 3 to take us off. It always has that effect.
Into therapeutic sleep.
That's right, yes.
Because we hold ourselves, don't we? Everyone holds themselves. So we don't allow ourselves to really be as we're meant to be. And that to me looks like a real release mechanism.
It's very good. When I work with people on a one-to-one basis as well, I get to kind of see the reaction a bit more other than in a whole room full. Yeah. The group sound baths are fantastic, but I can't really see people in them because the lights are down. But in the one-to-one sessions, I always see people they look utterly beatific, you know, in their expression. Suddenly they lose all their years, you know, and the depth of the relaxation that they receive is just an obvious benefit straight away. We get people who kind of, you know, can barely hobble into the sessions, and sometimes then get up and it's almost throw away their crutch, I can walk kind of thing.
So my feeling is that, and I know you know it's, and it talks about it in your book, this goes right back to the ancients.
Oh yes.
They used sound for things that we've forgotten how to use it for.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they knew all about it. And the interesting thing about this little, you know, this is an archetype of the universe, really. These ratios are the ratios of all the musical scales that we then generate and that we then work with. And then they actually also relate to the entire universe, because they are the ratios of everything in nature, including us.
A resonance.
And while this isn't deeply ancient, this is Alberatura as the Renaissance. So, you know, during the Renaissance, people were rediscovering the application of these kind of, you know, if you look at it from the mathematical point of view. But I'm sure people were always working with sound truly. I mean, most people think of Pythagoras as merely a mathematician, but he was actually a sound guru and a sound healer. So he is the person in the West credited with discovering the overtone scale, and I'm sure he was doing what I was doing just now. I'm sure he was overtoning. I'm sure when the descriptions of what he did as a sound healer, working with the harmony of the spheres, this is the harmony of the spheres, this is it. And talking of up to date, when you generate fractals, there's the same intervals, the same ratios recur again. So the most ancient and the most up-to-date is the same, one and the same. And we've had this knowledge sort of buried, lost and forgotten, especially in the Western musical tradition. I don't quite understand why, or if I do, I don't want to go there. Because, when people mention overtones, your music teacher doesn't know anything about them normally. But for example, it is due to overtones only that you have musical timbre in an instrument. It's the only way you can tell two notes. If you're playing two violins playing exactly the same note, how can you tell them apart? You can tell them apart because the construction of one violin will be slightly different from the other, and the overtones on top, they might have exactly the same pitch overtones, but they won't be the same volume. So the two instruments have a slightly different overtone profile, which is how, say, voice recognition works on computers. So that's all down to overtones. So it's basic harmony. Harmony is how well or badly the overtones on top of two notes clash with each other or not. It's how they meld or don't meld with each other. So why don't we know all this stuff? I'm a practicing musician. I've reached my 30s.
It wasn't part of your training.
It wasn't part of my training, no. Overtones? Well, actually, you hear a little bit about them because they are actually, in some cases, embedded in music. They're also known as harmonics, and you can actually see that the wave pattern works because the string, you get the first harmonic, just like on that diagram, exactly halfway up where the string is, and then a third of the way up, and then a quarter of the way up. So on. So these things are sometimes written
into music scores.
Passingly. And in fact they are the basis of all harmony and all music. Really.
And we love music.
We do.
So inwardly, maybe this is where this huge craving for music comes from. We need music. We need sound, but we need pure sound if we really want to bring ourselves back to...
We need it, and we sort of are it, of course, because everything that is making a sound.
Yeah.
So all energy is vibrating, and vibration can be measured in terms of pitch.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating to hear the background behind it. I mean, a lot of people say they like the sounds, but they don't understand why. And the huge science and ancient knowledge behind it, and why engage with it. So that's what we've got from you today, Dean, and that's great. And I hope everyone's going to enjoy this, and I hope they come to some of your sound baths, because they're magnificent, aren't they? But you've got the dates up on your website.
Yes, if you look on our website, again, there's always an events list. We're usually doing a sound bath somewhere in the Dorset, Somerset, Wiltshire area every weekend. And I also work on a one-to-one basis, which is a whole other area and level where we can work with finding what your soul note is and your root note, and then actually working in your particular key. I'm a B flat myself, for example.
Well, I think I think for people who possibly are quite chronically ill, where they're sort of given no hope for of a cure through modern day traditional methods.
That's right.
To go back to this just may be a salvation, if it's not just to give them peace.
Yes, exactly. Even just that.
To get peace with where you are in life. I think it's brilliant. I think it's fascinating. Hungry to understand why, but that's my way of life. Great, Dean. Thanks so much, and I hope all our viewers enjoy it and come out and see you.
Yes.
In real life.
Thank you. Hope to see you at a sound bath soon.
Thanks everybody for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed what we've brought to you. I think just watching and hearing it will be therapeutic to you all, and that's the aim of the channel, to help people to become happy and to grow in knowledge of what magic there is out there, and it's sometimes forgotten and it doesn't get the publicity it deserves. So subscribe to our channel, come and visit us, build our numbers up, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.